Welcome to Love Byte.
My husband and I have been together for almost 10 years. 8 of those have been married. After the birth of my son in year 3, my libido tanked. We still had sex, but it was not as frequent as before. I then had my other son 2 years later, and the same problem persisted. In the middle of all this, we had moved back to my home country, and he didn't have any family or friends around and had to adapt to the culture and language. We would travel back to his country to visit at least once a year, and he would take a solo trip to spend time with his family, parents, siblings, and cousins. At the beginning, I was very unhappy with these trips due to not trusting him to make bad choices. His culture is rampant with infidelity, especially when on vacation, but as time went on, I was okay with it and even encouraged these trips as a nice break, and he would also come back more motivated to keep reaching our financial goals. Not once was there a hint of any wrongdoing. In the midst of this, because of how different our cultures were, we would clash a lot, more me than him, and I started to become annoyed and just unhappy with him. I found him to be lacking in intelligence. I hated his dad jokes, and I was honestly embarrassed by him sometimes, even back when we were dating. I think at the beginning it was something fun and safe, but with time we both changed, and I just found myself growing apart from him. I also want to add that I thought my libido had tanked and tried so many different ways and things to get it back, but it never has. And some time ago, I started to wonder if maybe the problem wasn't me. Maybe it was who I was trying to have sex with, meaning him, of course. He is a great guy, hardworking, ambitious in a healthy way, an amazing provider, and he is good-looking and very hygienic. In bed, he is extremely generous, and he loves giving orals even without reciprocation. Even though I would find myself just not feeling that spark towards him, like I loved him, but I wasn't in love with him. So the physical aspect of our relationship kept declining. I never initiated. On top of that, we had some issues at home with me not being as organized as I could have been. I was going through a lot of mental and health issues after my second pregnancy, and I now have been diagnosed with ADHD and endometriosis, both of which I'm taking medication for and have improved. My libido tanked after our first child, and I have been mourning that ever since. I've tried everything: therapy, porn, drugs, etc., and nothing has made me desire it like at the beginning. We had plenty of talks regarding our relationship, and I would bring up the subject of separation or divorce because I knew I wasn't happy. But we always reconciled because otherwise life was getting better for us and our children were happy. We didn't want to make our kids go through that. Note that every time we had these talks, he would point out that his physical needs were not being met and that he couldn't understand if he was such a good husband and loved and was attracted to his wife, which he was mostly denied. Lately, things came to a head, and we talked and both started working on improving things. We had a huge fight where we were trying to be intimate, but I just had all this pent-up anger at some things that had built up over the years. Things like feeling like he only spent time with me for sex, that he didn't spend quality time with me conversing, or just doing something I like. There was no romance, no small things. He would say the same, that he didn't feel appreciated. On the contrary, he felt rejected for years now. A couple of days ago, I was using his new phone to take a picture, and in the options to send, 2 contacts came up that I didn't know, 2 different women. I knew immediately that he was cheating. They were both from his home country, and I took screenshots of their conversations and sent them to myself. He figured out that I knew and became worried, and looked very uncomfortable. When I finally confronted him later that night, he admitted everything. He said that he had been talking to one of the women for 11 months, that he had invited her out to lunch after his visit with her, she's his dentist, and that he saw her the next day, and they kissed. He came back, didn't say anything, and then a couple of months later I went with the children, and he met us there a couple of weeks later. He again had to go to the dentist for his cleaning, and he kissed her again. They had been in contact since the first time. They kept talking, and 2 months ago he went to a family event and proceeded to sleep with her once, according to him. He stayed for over a week but only told her that he was going to be there for that weekend. He says he felt bad afterwards and that he didn't want to do it again, so he's been very in contact with her, trying to break that situation off. From the screenshots, I could tell that was true because she was asking him why he was distant with her. Meanwhile, with the other girl, nothing physical happened, and he said they knew each other since elementary school, and it was nice talking to someone with the same interests, something that we don't share. She was obviously very into him, and he reciprocated her messages with the terms of endearment that he also uses with me. These past few days have been absolutely horrible. My nervous system has been shot, I can't eat or sleep, and he has as well. He says he is truly sorry and that he was just trying to fill a void that had been there for a long time. He brought up feeling like a nobody, and it seemed like I couldn't care less if he was there or not. He felt neglected and hurt, but he didn't want to leave me. He's never wanted that. It was never about me, and he never meant to hurt me, but it just got out of hand, and he was slowly cutting it off. He said he slept with the first woman to see if he could live without me and also because he felt desired by her. He says that it was quick and she wanted to meet up again, but that he told her he couldn't and just decided to start finishing things with her. He says he wants to work on us and that he is willing to do anything, not travel anymore, not talk to them ever again, or to any other woman. He wants to work things out. Throughout this whole situation, he still tried to initiate sex every night, even if it was just for my pleasure. I truly don't know what to do. We just bought a home, we're in the middle of remodeling it, and our kids are happy and stable. This is not what either of us imagined for our future. I've always said that I would immediately divorce if something like this happened, but I also know that I had some fault in how I treated him, and I take responsibility for that. My therapist told me a couple of months ago that it sounded like I didn't love him and that I didn't respect him, so I wasn't attracted to him. And now this was my chance to make a decision that I was too scared to make before, which was to leave him. But it's not so easy. I just want what's best for our children, and growing up in a broken home is not that. The absolute most crazy thing is that seeing him like this in turmoil makes me want him. It's like I need to feel his emotions in order to want to be with him. And of course, that's toxic, but I wonder if maybe it's more of an indication that we don't really have the emotional connection that I would like. Has anyone been through something like this? Did it work out afterwards, or is this the end? Sorry for the length, and thank you if you made it this far. I tried so many things to get my libido back. It's like that part of me died after I had my children. I tried therapy, porn, medicine, even certain approved drugs, and nothing. I've been mourning the loss of my sexual life too. And I tried to go to couples therapy, but he didn't want to. He said he didn't believe in it, but now he wants to go. I tried so many times to give him an out, to set him free, and he didn't want to. He said we could work it out. And now this has happened. I didn't want to paint myself in a good light in my post, but I am very attentive. I cook, I clean, and I take very good care of our kids. I planned anniversaries, and on his birthday, I always gifted him nice things and experiences that he had never had before. I even took him to a strip club and paid for a fully nude and full contact lap dance. I am affectionate. I got a job as soon as my youngest began school, to pay for all the house bills and mortgage, so he could not work as much and just save money. And it's not like we didn't have sex at all. In these last years, it would vary wildly, 1 to 2 times a week, then 3 weeks later, and so on and so forth. The longest we've gone is a month. And I don't care if he watches porn or masturbates, but he doesn't like to do that and says he shouldn't have to if he is married and loves and desires intimacy with his wife. He is begging me to give him another chance, and I am so hurt because we talked so many times about this very specific situation and agreed that we would break it off before doing something like that. I know that I wasn't giving it 100%, but he just wasn't fulfilling my emotional needs, and I can't sleep with someone who just doesn't understand me or cares to do so. This is so majorly messed up.